shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the canoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight. Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
Them Portal Boys be podcasting. This is Joshua.
This is Elias.
And on this episode, we're going to be covering Season 6, Episode 9 of Rick and Morty, entitled Rick and King Mortur's Mort. And this one was fantastic. It turned out to be a solar vat of acid.
Yeah, that's really what it was. It was really great. And this time, Rick wasn't completely being a dick. It's just he was happenstancely being the.
Oh no, he said he said in the episode, I'm gonna be 22% more agreeable with you from now on.
It just happened to, like, his agreeability. You definitely said it made you a little nervous, right?
Oh, it made me anxious, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking that it wasn't going to be Rick, or that it was going to be some.
Yeah, he literally is like, "Are you a robot? Are you a clone? Are you an alien?" And he's like, "Bro, we have robots, clones, enough in this family.
Exactly.
I'm just me."
Exactly. So that was like the same energy that Morty had was the same energy I had. It was like, what's going to be the.
What's the MacGuffin?
Yeah, when's the other foot going to drop?
Yeah.
Type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's usually such a dick all the time.
He said, "You're 22% and you're going to feel it." And you definitely did.
He absolutely felt it. I think he cranked it up way more than 22% if we're being honest. But the episode starts, they're on, like, an asteroid.
An asteroid that comes around, like, I think he said, every...
Is it? Pull that microphone closer.
Yeah, he says, it comes, like, every, was it 22 years or something like that?
Who knows? But I know it only comes into the...
Yeah.
It only stops in their solar system once every so often.
Yeah. And it has a pop-up on it.
Yeah, and I love how there's a dude who's selling stuff to the people in the line.
Yeah, that's so great.
I also love that the people...
Sentient hot dogs.
Yeah. It's wonderful. And Morty tried to tell Rick not to eat them because it was gonna ruin his appetite, and of how Rick was like, That's a really funny way of saying I'm gonna make myself not hungry now.
Yeah, as like a kid, you never think about that, but when you hear that as an adult, like, yeah, so what? I'm not gonna be hungry after this. So what?
Exactly.
I've achieved what I was trying to do in the first place.
I like that Rick also asks for them to be sizzly.
Yeah.
But he hands him some still alive, and Rick just starts eating them while they're alive.
Did one bite him, or did it just squirm away?
I think he just dropped it, and that's why he wasn't able to continue to berate Morty whenever Morty was getting approached by the Knights.
Yeah, so one of the Knights drops whatever was it.
It's the Knights of the Sun, the Defenders of Helios.
Helios. That's so great. And one of the Knights ends up dropping what essentially you find out is a sandwich. That's what they're waiting in line for. Something
like that. It's some type of... you can see there's bread, and you can see there's a lettuce poking out the ends of it, but that's about you.
Well, he says, take the sandwich that you've been waiting in line for. Yeah, the knight says it, and he goes, nope. Morty's like, no, I'm waiting in line, and that's... I'm not going to take away from the whole experience, which is waiting in line. I don't want to take away from other people's experience. It's not fair to them. You know? And
I wouldn't want it any other way.
I wouldn't want it any other way.
And so, as Morty's like trying to hash out whether or not he's going to take the sword,
from him being so honest and pure of heart, they essentially tell him to take the sword.
Well, and but the Knights start to rescind the offer because Morty's trying to like ask questions and understand, like what all it's going to entail, and other people start being...
Two dorks walk up.
Other people start trying to get the sword.
Yeah. They're like, is this a free sword? And they're like, no, it's not a free sword. And then the other one's like, well, if he's not going to take it, can I have it? And he's like, he didn't offer it to you. He offered it to me. And he's like, yeah, but we're about to rescind the offer.
Basically. And so Morty winds up taking it. And the one who made the offer to him changes Morty's name to Sir Mortaniel.
Yeah.
And the dude takes the sword that he had offered to Morty and stabs himself in the chest.
As Morty's holding it, he grabs the tip and like shoves it into his chest.
Shanks himself in the heart, kills himself with the quickness, and his like soul fire comes out. And comes out in like an explosion and sweeps everybody up and takes them to the moon except for Rick. Rick's off to the side. To the sun, rather. Some celestial body, not Earth.
Yeah, it takes him to the... And it takes just Morty. It doesn't take Rick right away. Rick
but it takes all the Knights of the Sun and Morty.
Yeah, and he's essentially introduced to who's the king of the... Well, I guess like he's introduced to with the Sun Kingdom, right? Like
they
people
have all the freedom. You can come and go as you please.
I like how he was so down for them never to see his family again. He's like, so I can't ever. It
definitely wasn't a deal breaker, like, but I'm not gonna see my to know there's options.
And he's like, oh, I can't leave the sun. And he's like, I literally met you at a pop-up on an asteroid.
Oh, hey, I guess that makes sense. That wouldn't have been a deal breaker. It's nice to know there's options. And he keeps going through all these potential drawbacks that he's imagining.
And there really isn't any.
Literally
he can't find any at this point.
There really isn't a drawback at this point in the story. And even the King of the Sun walks up and starts giving Morty the pitch. You'll experience freedom like you could have nowhere else. Mm-hmm. You'll be immortal and not the lame type like the
vampires
where they get tired of it and can't die. We can die whenever we want. We just don't have to.
We just don't have to. Yeah.
It's great. Literally no drawbacks. It's everything that you would ever want.
And at this point,
the solar scepter.
Yeah, he ends up. Pretty much, he's like, okay, I'm down to clown.
Let's do it. Oh, he's at this point. He's telling them, let's hurry this along. I'm trying to get this in, and they take him up to this high point in this structure, and he's kneeled down with two other guys about to become knights, and they're telling him, all right, now you guys have to chop off y'all's dicks and toss them into the fire.
And Morty takes out the sword, and he's like, oh, Morty's eager to take his penis off, and he's like, okie dokie.
Actually, nope. I'm okay. Do I just leave the sword here?
Is there a sword? How did he say it? Is there like a sword? I forgot how he said it.
Basically, he literally goes, do I just leave the sword here?
Yeah, but he's like, is there a bend? That's what he says. Is there a bend for the sword for me to put it up? He's like, or do I just leave it here? And he just like places it down. He's like, okie dokie, I'm out. And then essentially, this is when Rick portals in.
And he's shocked by there being life on the sun.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, he's like, he's like, how did you manage to stand on the sun without the powers that we have?" And he's like, "It's called science."
It's clearly not something y'all value here either.
So great! What an ass! He's so great.
How did Morty and the King of the Sun wind up in Mortal Kombat?
So essentially, he told him that he wanted to go in Mortal Kombat because he wanted him to take his place, or like there was essentially.
No, that was a reveal.
Oh right, you're right. How did they end up in combat?
I don't know. Well, he was trying.
Oh no, it was because he was trying to leave without taking his penis. Is what it was.
Because the one knight had already sacrificed himself. Yeah. So now they're like, "Bruh, you got to do this. Yeah. We're short a knight, bruh." Yeah. And so the king comes in to try and set things right, and Rick tosses Morty a sword that uses AI.
Yeah, and it watched Blade and it really enjoyed it. So it already knows how to fight. So he's like, wait, does it learn quickly from the experience that I'm going through right now? And he's like, nah, it's already watched Blade and it really enjoyed it. So just go at it.
Yeah, Morty asks, so I have to get attacked first? No, buddy. We've put it through the MCU ringer, which Blade is actually the movie that kicked off the MCU. Oh yeah, for real. Like,
it was, and that was like one of my favorite movies back in the day.
Yeah, bro. So if you love your Doctor Strange movies and shit, you think Wesley Snipes will no tax paying ass for saving that studio, bro.
He was great, man. That was like one of the best movies. The first one, the second two can like. Yeah,
I liked them all. Wesley Snipes fucking chopping up vampires, bro. All it was vampires trying to steal his melanin. It's like it's stand out in the sun, bruh.
It was literally, I think that was like one of the guy who plays Deadpool, Ryan.
Yeah, that was one of his
Ryan
first
Reynolds.
roles.
Yeah, it was like one of his first movies, and
I could not take him serious.
He was essentially Deadpool before Deadpool was cool. Like he
or
was
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye, yeah.
But yeah, he's got Deadpool powers.
Well, no, he's just a trash talking ass, in that movie.
Well, it's the same dude, right?
Yeah. And so he's going through Mortal Kombat and he beats him. He bests him with the AI sword, and so he essentially says, "Oh, well, looks like you're king now." And he's like, "No, I don't want this.
I didn't even want your sword,
like,
or to become a knight, much less to become a king."
He's like, "So I don't want this." Like, no, and he's like, "Oh, too late," and he basically stabs himself and then becomes like a celestial, like.
He becomes
light.
fire
fire.
Goes down into the sun.
Yeah, and what looks to be like the guy from the Night Watch. I think that's who they based it. They literally based this entire episode off of what they said was like the 4th season of Game of Thrones. I think is what they said.
I have no idea.
They talked about at the very end 4th or 5th season of Game of Thrones. So that's what they essentially took it after, or based it after. And what looked to be like the chubby guy from the Night's Watch. Like the one who was Jon Snow's friend, was like one of the ones who was really trying to like figure out what was going on with Morty, what was the whole point of this? Because he's like, well, now he's king. We can't figure this out. There's nothing in the rule books. Like, what do we do now? And he was like, well, okay, you're king, and they just decide to kneel to him, and he gets the scepter, which is essentially the scepter that keeps everything in control, keeps the entire universe in control.
Yeah, I mean, they literally believe that it is the force that holds all the planets in proper position.
Yeah, and so he gives him the sword he gives him the scepter, he gives him the sword, and then he's like, y'all can keep the scepter and the sword. I'll visit y'all on Sunday.
And if I don't show up on Sunday, I'll be there next week. And keep doing that until it works out.
And he's like, my first order of business as the king is to give myself a vacation.
Effective immediately.
And then so him and Rick go back to Earth, right?
Yeah.
And
this is whenever Rick reveals that he's being 22% more agreeable. And Morty, even at this point, goes,
the reason why he was being more agreeable is because he called his ass boring.
Oh, he couldn't stand that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was when he dropped the hot dog, right?
And Morty is like, is this another vat of acid episode, man? Like, what is going on?
He's like, are you a clone? Are you an alien? What's going on here? And he's like, it's really not. We already have enough of that in this family. Like, he goes, well, is 22% enough? Is it really that much of a difference? And he's like, I don't want to tell you how mean I actually am to you because it'll hurt what is essentially your feelings. And believe me, it will be noticeable.
Yeah, you're going to feel great about it.
You're going to feel great about it.
And right as they're like done bonding, the Sun guys show up outside the garage, and Rick just closes the garage on them, and they just walk right through the garage door and melt it.
They literally toast 2 people's houses, like without giving a fuck. Like, they just like obliterated 2 houses coming to Earth.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
That's
2 houses that were like in front of Rick, which was probably, what was that asshole that was like, is everything okay? Gene. No, Gene. Does everything look like it? It looked like it was probably Gene's house.
I hope it was Gene's house. Fuck that guy.
Nosy prick.
They establish that these Knights of the Sun would literally rather die than leave Morty alone.
Yeah, he was like, you would rather die than just give me peace. And he's like, yeah, of course. Like that.
They're like, we'll die if that's what you wish. He's like, well, what if I tell you I wish for you to leave me alone? Like, we can't do that. He's like, so you'd really rather die than leave me alone? They're like, absolutely. And so Morty explains to them with basic critical thinking and science.
6th grade science.
That their whole religion's bullshit. But then also the thing that really tears it for them is whenever he pulls out the scepter.
Yeah.
And they realize, oh shit, like that isn't the center of all gravity. It's here. Like, what? The sun's still up there type shit.
Yeah. And on top of that, it was in a brown box, like in the garage. Like, he literally like.
Just a haphazard item.
Yeah, like Rick brings it out in a brown box and he's like, this, and just like tosses it. And they're like, and the best part is like he destroyed their religion, destroyed their traditions. And so in the fact of everything falling apart, one of the guys says, hey, where do I find what they call in this place heroin.
And he said, yeah, I started using your smartphone to look up the concept of despair. And I'd be curious to know where I can find some heroin.
And he goes, never mind. The internet says I can find it anywhere.
And later they find these fools all on all the heroin.
It's in a trap house, just
high on all the heroin. And the thing is that they can't overdose. And so they can just do all the heroin. And Morty's like, these guys are terrible. And Rick's like, I don't know. They seem pretty fucking cool to me.
But yeah, so as Rick is basically kudosing him for destroying religion with critical thinking, he tells everybody, all the family who's sitting down watching television, everybody give Morty props. He literally destroyed someone's entire religion from critical thinking in sixth grade science. And so they're clapping, and as they're clapping, the sun starts to expand and be taken advantage of by other celestial beings.
It's definitely not acting right anymore because the Knights of the Sun aren't there managing things, and it hit a solar flare, hit the Earth, and it ruined all the electronics and shit. And it turns out the Knights of the Sun were the ones who were keeping political harmony in the entire solar system.
And then at one point, one of the Knights was taking a crap.
And so he comes out and pieces it all together.
He's like, so we're the Knights of the Sun. And he's like, I was in the bathroom taking a crap. He's like, oh, they disbanded, didn't they? This is Sunward? Or how do you like...
I don't remember.
It's like awkward and sun put together.
Sunquard.
This is Sunquard. And then just like proceeds to Homer Simpson and like walk backwards into the bushes and runs away.
At this point, it shows that all of the leaders of all the planets are having a big fight.
Yeah, I just love how
like a big treaty meeting, and they're just being totally hostile with one another.
The Mars people kind of look like I love how all kind of like science fiction-y stuff take the people of Mars to look very native in nature, like very kind of Native American, and they kind of did the same thing with this one. Like, have you ever watched like Futurama? They're kind of native looking. If you like watch a bunch of like science fiction stuff, they're almost like Native American looking, and they did essentially the same thing. And so
I don't know, man. The last time I saw Martians depicted was on Invincible, and they were stretchy green dudes who lived underground.
Oh, that was great too. Yeah.
So I don't know about all that.
But he doesn't have like a nose or an arm like one from Mars. And
Morty's like, who are you?
He's like, who the?
I'm such and such from Mars, and I declare war on all of you.
And he's so impotent. Like, no one takes him seriously. Like, they're just kind of laughing at him. Like, they're not even taking him seriously enough to laugh at him. They're just like, he does that all the time kind of thing. And so at this point, they're trying to figure out why Morty's even there.
Well, they show Santa. Oh, he's the Earl of Earth.
Earl of Earth. He's like, who is Santa?
And so the whole thing devolves into a big fight. An even bigger fight. They're trying to understand who Morty is. Morty's telling them he's the king of the sun. They all realize that the bone witch tells them that
he throws chicken bones on the ground and he's like, the knights are dead. And Rick
is like, they've disbanded.
Yeah, they've disbanded. I'm sorry, no, they're not dead. They're disbanded. And then Rick comes out with the best line. Damn, the bones are on point. Or how did he say it?
And the bones nailed it.
The bones nailed it.
And they bring into question Morty's claim as king.
Yeah.
And he pulls out the scepter.
Yeah.
And everybody goes ape shit because whoever holds the scepter,
I think it's like the
holds the power in the solar system.
Like the queen or royalty of Jupiter, isn't it? Like, is the one who's really going ham over it. And like,
well, they're all going ham.
Yeah,
they all go ham.
Like,
bro.
starts like they're all grabbing it and like reaching for it and just tearing each other up, cutting throats and like cutting.
Literally killing one another over it. And Rick and Morty step out. And Rick just congratulates Morty. He's like, I think you nailed it. Not just anybody could have started Solar System War 1. Solar War 1.
Solar War 1.
And then we hop into a Pink Floyd montage, bro. I love me a good Pink Floyd montage.
Just everybody's just getting their necks cut and arms ripped off.
Well, and as the fighting happens, they become more and more technologically advanced so that they can, and it just goes from them like stabbing each other with knives and spears to them basically all having their own respective super destroyer ships just shooting at one another.
And then one of it was it like intergalactic mustard gas or something like that?
They definitely mustard gassed Mercury or some other
pretty
planet.
Horrible.
Whole bunch of bad shit went down, bro.
Yeah.
And again, Morty just cannot believe that Rick is being a good dude throughout all of this.
Yeah, he's really being understanding and kind of like, hey, like, and he wants to like, he's like, let's just jump universes. And he's like, let's use our critical thinking skills to get our way out of this. And he's like, who are you? Like, I can't take this anymore. I can't take you yes-anding me. Like,
yeah, are you yes-anding me to death? What is this, another vat of acid? This is whenever he says that.
Yeah.
And Rick's like, no, man, I'm really just trying to do better by you. Yeah. For real. And so they go and track down the Knights of the Sun, and they're all just doing all the heroin.
They're doing all the heroin.
And Morty proposes, what if I cut off my dick?
And then
would y'all do it again?
Yeah, and the chubby one who kind of looks like the guy from the Night's Watch is like, but you'll be doing it for nothing. And he goes, that's essentially what y'all did. Tradition is stupid. I'll do it.
He goes, I think that could compete with heroin.
I think just watching some poor fuck just like take off his meat.
I think that could compete with heroin, buddy, for sure.
And so Morty's like, I gotta take a minute, and he goes to the bathroom.
It's just bawling.
He's just crying. He's like, and so here comes Rick to be nice again, and it's just like, I will take care of this. We'll make you a fake penis
with 3 fail safes.
With 3 fail safes, and he goes, it'll be. How did he say? We'll make you the fakest penis.
We're gonna make your dick so fake.
We're gonna make your dick so fake. Make your dick so fake, Rick and Morty, and so.
The Knights get back together.
Yeah, the Knights get back together, and essentially, like,
now
peace happens immediately.
Well, so they need the scepter.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the beginning, they're like, peace is happening pretty exponentially. The only one who's, like, holding out is the one, what, like I said, is the Queen of Jupiter. Like the Queen.
I can't remember who it was. They look like
Mercury or Jupiter.
They look like vampires.
Yeah, I think it's Jupiter. But like, we'll just say Jupiter, and then some simpy incel will complain about us being.
Oh yeah, some like you didn't get your facts straight. You should. I see Josh has got a cell phone out there. Why doesn't he got his notes right? Because I don't give a fuck.
And so
drag my nuts on your mom's fucking forehead.
And so he's like, we'll stand back. They're like, do you want to use the like, it was like an atom bomb.
It's like
right?
hydronuclear or some shit.
Like,
some fake sounding shit.
Yeah, some atom nuclear bomb, or some atom bomb on a particular planet. And she's like, let's wait and see what happens. I still have the And then what happens?
Oh, Rick literally portals in and just ganks it right off of her. Like, doesn't even come all the way out the portal. Just puts a portal right here, bro. And just peeks out, grabs the scepter, goes right back into the portal, and the portal closes.
And she's like, oh, looks like we're just going to stand down. Like,
it's like, yeah, maybe don't shoot the missiles.
Yeah, and so... and now it's all eyes on Morty.
Yeah, he's literally in his little King of the Sun outfit.
Yeah.
And I can't believe they're going to have him basically cut his dick off in front of everybody.
It looked like the scissors from Hercules. Remember the cartoon Hercules when they cut...
They couldn't cut the thread?
Yeah, they couldn't cut it literally looked like the shears from...
Damn, bro. That's true.
It looked like the shears from...
True that. Even with like the bends in it and everything. Damn it, man. Let me find out.
It looked like the shears from Hercules. And, I mean, essentially...
They did, though.
The blind lady is essentially the Fates. She's throwing chicken bones, you know?
Yeah, well, so they go to scan to see if he has, like, a hologram dick. Then they go to scan to see if he has a prosthetic dick. Then they have the witch there to see if he has a witch dick.
And it's a dick with a little witch hat on it.
It's, like, green.
It has a little pointy hat.
It's like Gangrus with a fucking witch hat.
And he's like,
beautiful.
Just testing her out. Just testing out if she would notice.
Just making sure.
And so, what ends up happening is Morty's
gonna have to really chop his wiener off.
He's gonna have to take it off. And Rick is like, do you want me to get you out of it this time?
Yeah, because Rick links a satellite so where they can, with it, like Rick closes his eyes and gets a satellite to link their brains to where they can they can telekinetically communicate.
Don't answer me out loud, but can you hear me? Yes. Yeah. Don't answer out loud.
That was out loud, buddy.
That was out loud.
All right, I need you to do exactly what I say. Grab the scissors. Run.
Like, you literally could have said that out loud.
I don't remember what Rick had to say about that.
Yeah,
but he did
definitely had a witty retort for that.
And they literally get to the edge, grab hands, and leap into the sun together. And it turns, it's just...
It's a Vat of Apid episode 2. There's a news update on the sun, right? Of how they sacrifice themselves.
King Mortius the Molten.
Yeah. And it says they even made sure to analyze the bones. And
after they floated up.
After they floated up, right? It was literally a Vat of Acid. It was a polite Vat of Acid episode.
That shit, I couldn't believe they put that spin on that shit at the end. And I love how they came back, and Mort's like, we didn't have to come back.
Yeah, like we should.
Rick's like, yes, we did. We had to make sure this worked, and the heat's good for my joints.
Yeah.
And some dork sees Morty and he's like, oh shit, you're alive.
King Morthaniel is alive.
He's like, bro, no, I'm not, because if I am, that means you have to chop your dick off.
And he's like, R.I.P. R.I.P. King.
Rest in peace, King Morthaniel, Mortalius, or whatever they called him. And that's effectively where they wrap the episode. But at the end, they did.
What an ending! What a little recap.
Yeah, they had a
callback. I mean,
yeah, dude. The space feds dropped in to bust the guy for selling the sentient hot dogs, and I guess the special agent was like an adult version of one of them.
I think so. Yeah,
that's because he came out and like set them free, and had like a moment, and was. Even when I was really worried that the bird or something was going to swoop in and get, and right as he says that, the bird swoops in and gets him.
Yeah, and it's funny because like one of the little hot dogs is in his pocket, and like points out the doorman, and then the doorman is like harboring like stolen sentient hot dogs who are terrified of everything.
Oh yeah, they go and track down. That's great,
man.
It was a fun episode. It really did. Rick being nice did sincerely give me anxiety. I was thinking for sure that it wasn't going to be Rick, or that he was going to, because like, you know what happened last time Rick was nice to Morty?
What happened last time? Because this is
Morty was prestiging him fucking self.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah. I just want to be a good grandpa, buddy.
Yeah.
That's all I ever wanted to hear is that I'm the best. And yet he's just letting Morty murder infinite versions of himself for the sake of just being a fucking asshole and proving a point. So he went from the guy who will let Morty kill an untold number of versions of himself for the sake of proving a fucking point to this version of Rick who's actually sincerely trying to make it so that Morty doesn't despise him.
Kudos to Dr. Wong.
Yeah, bro. Dr. Wong, supermarket therapist, agent of averageness, helping out. Listen, if therapy can make Rick a better person, therapy can make anybody a better person. Take your stupid ass to therapy. Even if you think that you're healthy and you don't need therapy, bro, therapy will give you tools to deal with people who aren't healthy around you, fam. So go do that shit.
What did he say? I'm a sociopath, I'm a murderer, but when you called me boring,
I couldn't take it. Yeah. Don't call me boring.
Yeah.
I'll put my fucking nutsack on your mom's forehead, bro. For real.
So, favorite part?
You go first.
Oh, man. It's hard to say. I think when he dropped the hot dog, but essentially I think whenever he's debating to take the sword, it's just it could be considered a throwaway scene, but it's really not because it's so important to the aspect of the show. Because of the way he's just like debating it, and the two fat insully people, well, the fat one and the skinny one is like, hey, is it a free sword? No, it's not a free sword. Well, if he's not gonna take it, I'll take it. They didn't offer it to you. It's just like, and he's like, well, did you take it? Yeah, of course I took it. Best decision of my life, And it's just like, all right, I'll take it. And then Rick is like, this is so boring. and he's just like, "You're boring." He just like fucking calls him out. I mean, this is the first time he's really let his nuts hang out.
Like, bro, you're cranky old boring shit.
Yeah,
everything's
you cranky shit on boring drunk. He literally called him like
a cranky boring drunk.
Oh,
what a fucking stinger.
Yeah, he was a savage this episode. And he was a savage who was about to lose his dick. That's what he gets for being savage. He's like, I've learned my lesson. Would you please stop yes-ending me?
Yeah, what the fuck is this? You're yes-ending me to death.
What about you, bud?
Oh, man. After having thought on it, it's easy for me. Whenever Rick gave him the nod for not being able to overdose on heroin.
Oh, he's like, these guys are actually pretty cool.
Yeah, Morty was like, this is terrible. And Rick was like, nah, these guys seem pretty fucking cool.
He's like, what does he say? Because of us living on the sun, our veins are filled with such and such, which makes it almost impossible for us, or it makes it actually impossible for us to OD. He's like, oh, these guys are pretty cool.
You guys got it going on. Y'all got it going on. And how just fucking... like trill those guys kept it the whole time. They're like, we give a fuck about any of that anymore. We're over here getting out on heroin. Fuck off. They're like, oh, but you'll chop your dick off? That could change some things. That whole transpirance there was ridiculous. But particularly whenever Morty thought it was gross that they couldn't overdose on heroin, and Rick was like, huh, cool.
Yeah. This is a guy who like freebases like crystallized xanthium or whatever, right?
Rick does all the drugs. Rick will make a drug you ain't never even heard of, bro. Fractal dust, bro. Let's fucking go.
He's like sending his own grandson out to get rocks for him to snort. It's
Kalax.
It's a short high, but
it's a strong but fleeting high.
Yeah, it's a strong fleeting.
Man, I would love to fucking do some Kalax and some fractal dust and some velocitinis.
Velocitinis.
Know what I'm talking about?
Oh my god, what a progression. What a strong season.
This has been a very good season.
Yeah.
The show's great. My dad's hooked on it. My dad didn't even know I ran a fucking podcast about this shit, which we got a fan. Shout out Noop Noop. Some dude was like, this is great on YouTube on the comments. This guy's going to watch this next episode and be like, they're talking about me, and just leave. I hope he never comes back.
Stage left.
There's one dude, hope he never comes back. Fucking incel. You're that fucking guy.
We're talking to you, Todd. What if that was his name?
Oh, if his name's Todd, I'm going to shit a brick.
I was like, my name's not Todd. It is now, Todd.
It is. It's Todd.
Todd. Noob, Todd.
Well, at any rate, that's probably an effective enough place to end the episode. We covered everything. We bullshitted about dumbass shit. Shouted out the fucking dude who thinks our podcast is cool.
Which we appreciate to a point. Don't get obsessed with us. Man, what a great episode. What a great fucking episode. See y'all next week, man. Fuck all y'all.
Peace. Border Boys be podcasting, dog. You know what I'm talking about. Go do the thing.
Monkey mouth. Monkey mouth. Monkey mouth. Monkey mouth.